It's the beginning of April, which means we're doing this again. I am going to take a look at some movies coming out in the next 3 months, and I'm going to try and predict the Rotten Tomatoes score that they will receive upon release. Judging off the director's previous work, other movies in the series, that kind of thing, and sometimes just pure guesswork. I always say that in 3 months we'll revisit it and see how well we've done, but I never do that, so I'm not even going to pretend. This is just pure guesses, and then we're not going to do anything about it. Here we go! Coming out on the 12th of April, it's Hellboy, the Hellboy reboot. I'm a big fan of the first 2 Hellboy movies, but I'm also a big fan of Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if like I'm a fan of the Hellboy franchise or if I'm just a fan of the director who was in charge of it. I'm like a little bit excited about the new Hellboy movie, starring David Harbour from Stranger Things, directed by Neil Marshall, mostly known for directing horror movies. He did a movie called Tales of Halloween, and that got 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, as well as The Descent, which got 85%, and that's like a pretty good film. The original Hellboy movie by Guillermo del Toro got 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. For the new Hellboy reboot, I am predicting 70%. It's going to be hard to live up to the originals. I feel like whatever they do, it won't have like the same kind of charm that the Del Toro movies had, but it'll probably still be pretty good. Coming out on the same day, it's Missing Link, the new movie by Laika, who are like a stop motion animation company. And I go on about how much I love stop motion animation all the time. Laika are the team that made Kubo and the Two Strings, which was a great movie that came out 3 years ago. It was really good. So I'm hoping that Missing Link will also be good. Kubo and the Two Strings got 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Paranorman, which was like the movie that came out before that, I think, got like 88%. So for Missing Link, I'm also predicting 88%. It'll be full of charm, it'll be a lot of fun, it'll be a nice family movie. Coming out on the 26th of April, it's Avengers Endgame. Wow, those Avengers have really made it to the Endgame. Just cut this whole bit. Once again, directed by the Russo brothers, who did Captain America Civil War and The Winter Soldier and Infinity War. The Marvel movies are always gonna be pretty good. My prediction for Endgame is 83%. I don't know, I had a lot of problems with Infinity War. I feel like Endgame might not suffer from the same problems, but I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit. If you want more of my thoughts on Endgame, I'll put a link up here to my video of Endgame predictions. How's that for a shameless plug? Coming out on the 10th of May, it's Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I have absolutely no idea how to feel about this film. All the Pokemon that they've made look realistic just look really horrifying and scary. I think the movie is gonna be silly fun. I think it's gonna be pretty good. It's directed by a man called Rob Letterman. He directed the Goosebumps movie starring Jack Black, which got 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. He also directed the Gulliver's Travels movie starring Jack Black, which got 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. So he is a man who is all over the place. Pokemon would not allow their characters to be used in a movie unless they had a really good plan for what they were going to do with them. So I'm predicting 66%. It's going to be safe. Coming out on the same day, it's The Professor and the Madman, starring Mel Gibson and Sean Penn. Yikes. 0%. Fuck those guys. Coming out on May 17th, it's John Wick 3. I'm very excited for this film. Maybe the movie on this list that I am most excited for. I think the first two John Wicks are just amazing action movies. So I'm very excited for the end of the trilogy. It's got the same director, and the first John Wick got 87% Rotten Tomatoes. The second got 89%. I'm predicting John Wick 3 Parabellum will get 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's going to be really good. Have you seen the trailer? He's on a horse. Coming out on May the 24th, it's Aladdin. Everyone loves to make fun of this movie, and I can understand why. It's directed by Guy Ritchie. I mean, like, he's a decent, like, kind of action director. I'm not sure about giving him the Aladdin movie, though. I don't think it's going to be great. His last couple of movies, he had the King Arthur movie that came out a couple of years ago that got 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, and everyone forgot about it because, like, whatever. He also directed The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I quite like. I like that movie a lot. It's good. That got 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. I predict Aladdin is going to get 54%. Same as Detective Pikachu. It's going to be safe. They're not going to do anything too out there. The fact that it's called Aladdin and is a remake of the animated Aladdin movie is just going to look bad for this one because it's going to be so much worse. Coming out on the same day, it is Brightburn, which I've put on the list purely based on the concept, because I think the concept of the movie is really good. It's kind of a superhero horror movie. It's like, what if Superman came to Earth and wanted to kill everyone? Or something like that. So it's like this super-powered murder child movie, which I think is an interesting concept, and with all the superhero movies that are in cinemas at the moment, I think it's kind of a cool play on that. Director is kind of untested. He's had one movie that he's directed before called The Hive, and it doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes score, but the reviews I saw weren't great. So for Brightburn, I'm predicting 43%. I think the concept will carry it a fair way, but it's not going to be a classic. Coming out on the same day as that is Booksmart, which I've put on the list because it stars Beanie Feldstein, who was the friend of Saoirse Ronan in Lady Bird, which is a really good movie. This kind of looks like the same kind of film, like a coming-of-age teen movie. It's directed by Olivia Wilde, and it's her like first foray into directing, but some of the first impressions of this film have been really good. I think the actors starring in the film are really great, so I'm guessing 92%. I think it's going to be really good. Plus, I just love a coming-of-age movie. Like, they're always great. Coming out on the 31st of May, it's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. In the giant monster cinematic universe, this movie is following the King Kong Skull Island. Came out a couple of years ago, I think. The cast seems pretty good. The director is a guy called Michael Dougherty, I think. He directed Krampus, which is a really good, like, Christmas horror movie. Which got 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. He also directed Trick or Treat, which is a Halloween horror movie that I've not seen, but that got 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. He's a pretty decent director, it seems. The cast is good. Godzilla's kind of like, but I think it'll be okay. I'm guessing 71%. Coming out the same day, it is Rocketman, which is the Elton John biopic starring Taron Egerton. I think Taron Egerton is a good actor. It looks like he's put a lot of work into the role. Kind of music biopics are big at the moment. We had A Star Is Born and we had Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a bit of a yikes, but like, it's the flavour of the month. You gotta do a music biopic. Directed by Dexter Fletcher, who has a pretty good directing record, even if he has not a great acting record. So he directed Eddie the Eagle, which is another movie starring Taron Egerton, and I like the movie quite a bit. All about a ski jumper, the famous British ski jumper, who you won't know if you're not from the UK. But that got 81%. He also directed Sunshine on Leith, which is a musical movie using the music of the Proclaimers, and that got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So he can do the music, he can direct Taron Egerton. I think the Rocketman movie is going to be really good. I'm guessing 87%. Hey, maybe we can have a biopic movie about a musician that doesn't just skip over their sexuality entirely. Coming out on June the 7th, it's X-Men Dark Phoenix. I'm not really sure why the X-Men movies are still going, but this might be the last one before they just become completely absorbed by the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, whatever. This is directed by a guy called Simon Kinberg. He hasn't previously directed a movie, but he has produced and screenwrote for a whole bunch of the other X-Men films, starting with X-Men Last Stand, which everyone loved. The X-Men movies have been like very hit or miss, so like I think the first two X-Men are really good. Then X-Men 3 is a mess. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a mess. First Class is okay. Days of Future Past is like pretty good. Apocalypse is like aggressively average, and like Logan is just incredible. So they're all over the place. I think Dark Phoenix is gonna be it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a bit below average, I guess. It's doing the same story that X-Men Last Stand did with the whole Jean Grey Dark Phoenix thing. I don't understand who this is for. I guess X-Men movies are kind of going for something similar to the MCU, and they're really not making it. While I'm not excited that there are a million Marvel movies coming out all the time, I really like the characters in them. I think Chris Evans as Captain America is brilliant, and like I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, like all those characters are amazing. And then you look at the X-Men movies and you're like, wow, I'm really emotionally invested in Jennifer Lawrence painted blue. I think they should just like give it a rest for a little bit, or focus on one or two characters at a time, because it seems like this movie is called Dark Phoenix, but like Jean's not going to be the main character. She's like 5th build on the cast. I'm guessing 48% for this one. I don't know why I've talked about this one for way longer than any of the other movies. On June the 14th, it's Men in Black International. The trailer for this was really weird, but I like Chris Hemsworth, I like Tessa Thompson. Liam Neeson's in the movie, which is a big yikes, but also like Emma Thompson's here. I think it's gonna be like a pretty fun action movie. It's directed by F. Gary Gray. He directed the 8th Fast and Furious movie, and those movies are like alright, I think. They're like fun action movies, which is kind of what this is gonna be. So the 8th Fast and Furious movie got 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. He also directed Straight Outta Compton, which just seems like a drastically different movie, but that got 88%. So he's at least a competent director. I am predicting Men in Black International will get 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. Please stop rebooting everything. Coming out on the 21st of June is Toy Story 4. I don't understand why this movie exists, but it's still going to be quite good. 93%. Pixar can't make a bad movie. I don't want to say like Pixar are running out of ideas, but them recent original movies haven't been amazing, and they just seems to be like doing sequels to everything, which I gotta guess is where Toy Story 4 is coming from. But they left it on such a good ending at Toy Story 3. I just wish they wouldn't do this, but like, yeah, it's gonna be good. And finally, on June the 28th, it's Yesterday. This is a movie directed by Danny Boyle, who is a really good director. He makes a lot of like feel-good films. I say that his last 2 films were Trainspotting 2 and a biopic on Steve Jobs. So maybe that's not a feel-good movie. But this Yesterday is going to be a feel-good rom-com kind of thing. The basic premise is that a guy bangs his head, and when he wakes up, nobody remembers the Beatles. So he uses the Beatles songs that he remembers to become famous and become like a massive songwriter. It looks like a very predictable, fun, musical, romantic comedy. I think 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. It looks like a really good time, I guess. I'm so jaded by all these franchises that like I can't even recognize a nice, wholesome movie when I see it. What have you done to me, Hollywood? I think it's gonna be really good. I wish I could just like ban myself from seeing all these franchise movies, but I've got to go see Endgame now. I've already done my predictions video. Oh my god. That's it. I'll see you in 3 months after all these movies have come out. I guess if you think I'm wrong about any of my predictions, which I very well could be, let me know in the comments. Say, Tom, you're a big idiot and you're wrong about this movie, and then tell me all about how Godzilla King of Monsters is the best film ever made. But seriously, it's really nice when people comment. Like, even if I disagree with you, I love hearing what you got to say. Like and subscribe, I guess. I'll see you later. Bye.